FIA examines McLaren's car and announces nothing illegal was found. Ford comments, so we signed with Red Bull knowing the risk of losing Verstappen, Newey, and others. Our commitment is firm. Lewis Hamilton comments, I didn't think things would be this difficult at Ferrari. FIA in the eye of the storm. Ben Sulayem issues a new set of rules regarding swearing. Drivers complain. Carlos Sainz Sr. emerges as a possible opposition candidate to the current president. And Anthony Hamilton, Lewis Hamilton's father, is appointed to lead a commission for the development of young drivers. Thursday, May 15th, 2025. The Emilia Romagna Grand Prix weekend at Imola is about to begin. And this is the news roundup. Let's go. McLaren has been standing out this season, which always draws the attention of its rivals and raises suspicions about the legality of their car. The other teams have already noticed that the McLaren car has a special ability to manage tire temperatures, especially the rear ones. And this has become the main topic of discussion in the Formula One paddock. Although there is no magic or miraculous solution, the so-called silver bullet, it is more likely that a combination of a few percentage improvements throughout the McLaren car is providing better performance. The operation of the system in the rear brakes, especially the cooling and ventilation ducts, seems to be where the real crux of the matter lies. Interest grew when Red Bull hired a company to take thermal images of the McLaren car to understand what they were up to. These images revealed that the rear of the McLaren car was operating at considerably lower temperatures than those of its competitors, and this naturally sparked curiosity and, for some, even suspicion, since the brakes on a Formula One car reach extremely high temperatures, even becoming incandescent. Several theories emerged, some of them suggesting that the hub where the wheel fits was made of a carbon fiber weave that would allow heat to dissipate more easily, enabling a controlled flow of air through it. There was also talk of materials that could change their properties depending on the temperature. And the most serious of the accusations, which even prompted a response from McLaren, was the alleged injection of liquid inside the tire. Rumors spread by Red Bull suggested that the FIA had found something irregular on the McLaren car, which would explain why its performance was not significantly better than its rivals in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. Because of the complaints behind the scenes from Red Bull, who never actually filed a formal complaint or protest against their rival's car, which would in fact be a necessary step for any action to be taken, the FIA took McLaren's cars, and specifically Piastri's car, which won the race, and conducted a thorough inspection. And the message coming this weekend at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, the first time the FIA could officially comment by issuing publications, documents, and so on, is the McLaren car is legal. But after all, what is really going on? Because I said I was going to explain the issue. I usually leave technical topics for the Tuesday videos where we have more time, but so many people have been asking that we're going to get straight to the heart of the matter. What is McLaren doing that has made their car perform so much better than Red Bull's? It all comes down to a way of managing brake temperatures that affects the entire system and can cause the tires to overheat. Formula One car tires have a temperature range in which they perform well. Below a certain point, they don't have optimal grip. Above a certain point, they deteriorate very quickly. And the explanation comes from the way the front air is directed into the rear brake ducts, causing it to enter and exit in such a way that the temperature remains controlled within the car's braking system. This ensures that the rear tires, which are constantly scrubbing back and forth through the corners as the car moves forward, don't exceed the desirable temperature limit, otherwise they start to fall apart. The braking system operates between 600 and 800 degrees, so this is a very important aspect. Several teams have systems designed specifically with this in mind, including the Red Bull car. And there are photos showing Max Verstappen's car with systems to direct the airflow through the wheel hub for cooling the brake system. Exactly what McLaren does, but they do it better. But things weren't always like this, because in 2022, during preseason testing, Norris, and at the time Daniel Ricciardo, drove very little due to huge problems with the brake system overheating, even with the airflow going in the opposite direction and blowing hot air onto the brake discs. According to Andreas Seidl, McLaren's team principal, a lot of engineering effort was put into the system. It's not enough to just push cool air in from one side. You also need a way to create low pressure on the other side so that the hot air is sucked out. That way, you get a so-called cleaning of the hot air inside the system in an efficient, quick, and consistent manner, allowing you to control the temperature. As I said, it's also no good to cool things down too much because if it goes below a certain point, the tire doesn't work properly. Photos taken by professional journalists indicate that there was meticulous work done not only to push more air into the system, but also to generate this suction that would remove the hot air. That's not the only reason why the McLaren car is performing so well. But apparently, this is the aspect that Red Bull hasn't been able to optimize. And they're looking at the issue with interest. It's worth noting that Christian Horner has a somewhat obsessive and paranoid eye when it comes to his rivals. Just look at how, back when Mercedes was faster than his car, he was always pointing fingers. He even did the same with Ferrari in 2019. And in 2019, he was right because Ferrari was up to something with that strange, supposedly illegal engine. I told that story in this video here. Since the inspection of Piastri's car was done in Miami, the first time the FIA could comment on the matter was this Thursday in Imola. And since no clarification, no technical directive, and no action was taken, it means all clear. Everything's fine. Nothing needs to be changed. Meanwhile, Red Bull is facing its own internal dramas. It's persistent on Twitter. But we haven't talked about it here or made a video about it because it's not really news for us to discuss. The rumor that Christian Horner could lose his position as team principal of the energy drink manufacturer's team. It's worth remembering that Horner was on shaky ground at the start of 2024 when the sexual scandal involving him and an employee who has already been removed from the team broke out. She filed an internal complaint about the matter, which then gained global attention And now the case is being handled in the English courts under confidentiality. Meanwhile, the team has to deal with technical issues and complains a lot about McLaren, as I mentioned in the previous topic, but their complaints are more mutual grumbling because, as I said, they haven't filed any formal protest. His name is also in the news, of course, because of the extensively debated risk of losing Max Verstappen to Mercedes or Aston Martin. In fact, that was the main topic of last week's Tuesday video. Haven't seen it yet? It's worth watching because the topic is still relevant. Today, Ford, which is developing the engine for the 2026 season together with Red Bull, came out publicly to say that its commitment to Formula One and to the partnership is serious and that the initial goals of the program have even been expanded. At first, Ford was going to develop energy recovery systems and engine management software. But now it's also making and manufacturing the internal combustion engine. And Ford said more. We knew from the start about the risk of losing any of the professionals, including Horner, Verstappen, or Newey, which makes me wonder if this isn't already a message like, in case Horner is out, our commitment remains serious. Because after all, everyone is thinking about the risk of losing Verstappen. We even reported that here. But Horner's name was mentioned in the statement. Red Bull dominated this ground effect era, winning the Drivers' Championship in 2022, 2023, and 2024 with Max Verstappen, and the Constructors' Championship in 2022 and 2023. They lost last year to McLaren in the Constructors' Almost Championship, and this year they run a serious risk of finishing third or possibly even fourth. That would be the reason why Horner might be under threat. But at the moment, this is nothing more than social media chatter. No reputable journalist, no major website, no news portal is treating this as actual news. Not only are they not treating it as news, they're not even addressing it. Lewis Hamilton commented on his journey with Ferrari, racing at home for the first time. Imola is Ferrari's home in every sense, and said he never imagined how difficult the journey would be. Hamilton is in a new home, and it hasn't been an easy start. The only really good result was in China, when he took pole for the sprint and won the short race. And he said, these are his exact words, I predicted it would be very difficult because I've joined a new team before. I came in with a very open mind. I didn't know how hard it would be. I knew it would be challenging. And it's as challenging as it possibly could be on all fronts. Ferrari is facing a dilemma, and possibly a decision has already been made. Fred Vasseur, during preseason when the car was launched, said, "In 5 races we will make a decision on whether we still focus some effort on the 2025 car or if we go all in towards 2026. Short-term gains, as we know, can later influence an entire generation of cars. That's why several teams, Aston Martin, Williams, James Vowles said this week, and now Ferrari are already heading in the direction of their next cars. After all, there's no point in winning another race, getting a podium and so on, or improving a position or two in the constructors' standings now, if it ends up hurting your chances of winning championships, say, in 2026, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Ferrari has promised to bring updates this weekend, next weekend in Monaco, and also a new front wing for Barcelona, where most teams are expected to bring major upgrade packages, especially because the new FIA technical directive comes into effect, making the front wing flexibility tests more stringent. And Fred Vasseur thinks this could shake up the pecking order. Whenever I hear this kind of statement, or when someone writes something similar in the comments, I always wonder, is this an analysis or just wishful thinking? In Vasseur's case, it's definitely wishful thinking. George Russell, who is the president of the GPDA, the Grand Prix Drivers Association, once again heavily criticized the FIA and its president. Appendix B of the ISC, the International Sporting Code, FIA's International Sporting Code, was amended, and the federation substantially increased the penalties for cases of insults, including fines, time, penalties on the clock, and even a one-race ban. This sparked outrage, not only among Formula One drivers, but also in rallying. And then the changes were changed. Yes, that's right. And the amounts of the fines were reduced by 50%, and the possibility was added for the stewards to exempt drivers from sporting penalties. And then Russell said, I think the initial changes should never have happened. So we're talking about a situation where things were reversed because it was a bit ridiculous at first. Of course, we're talking about seeing things go back to how they should be, but it never should have been like this in the first place, if that makes any sense. So it feels a bit wrong to thank them for the changes when we shouldn't have been in this situation to begin with. It's worth noting that Ben Sulayem is campaigning for his re-election as FIA president. His term ends at the end of this year. It's a super complex process. Just putting together a ticket is already difficult, and he's been maneuvering to try to pass rules that would make it even harder for anyone to form a ticket to challenge him. And this week, the name of an opposition candidate has emerged, apparently bringing together everyone interested in seeing Sulayem ousted. Carlos Sainz, hold on, the father. Sainz is a multiple rally champion, a well-known name worldwide, and someone who apparently would be willing to play the game and not disrupt Formula One's interests. Sulayem hasn't been disliked by Formula One and by other categories for no reason. Since the 2000s, forced by the European Commission, the FIA gave up commercially managing any of its categories, leaving that to companies. For example, FOM runs Formula One, and other companies manage other categories like WRC, WEC, and so on. Well, the FIA is now trying to promote a World Rallycross Championship on its own, which has been causing concern because it would mean the FIA is breaking the agreement, not only with Formula One, but also with other companies around the world. And this has obviously irritated a lot of people, because how can you sell television rights for decades into the future knowing that everything is built on a foundation that someone could just come along and shake up? It's very unlikely that an opposition candidate will emerge, but the mere fact that a name has appeared, a reasonably strong name, is already an indication that this has annoyed people so much that even what seemed impossible is suddenly on the table. But the funniest thing of all is the mental gymnastics some people go through to claim that Formula One has become Generation Z Nutella and so on, when, for example, the person promoting these bans on swearing, jewelry, and so forth is someone who has nothing to do with Generation Z. Our friend 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙢𝙚 is not a TikToker, he doesn't dye his hair blue, he doesn't follow Felipe Neto, and he's the one pushing these initiatives while Formula One has been resisting these ridiculous changes. So I need you guys to help us out by explaining to some of the enlightened ones in the comment section that things aren't quite like that. Just as I say here, the most absurd comments I get are not from the Drive to Survive generation. They're from people who have been watching Formula One for a long time and think they own the truth. And to wrap up this topic, I want to leave a very important point. Did you know that 45% of people who watch Formula One nowadays have been doing so for less than 5 years? That's right, Formula One doesn't belong to any specific age group. Formula One belongs to all of us. That's great. Tomorrow, there will already be cars on the track. At 8:30 in the morning, free practice 1. At noon, the second session. On Saturdays, the times are 1 hour earlier. At 7:30, FP3, at 11 in the morning qualifying, and on Sunday at 10 in the morning, the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. But 15 minutes before we start our broadcast, I'll be on commentary, Matheus Ornelas on play-by-play, in our parallel broadcast project, as a second screen, another channel, your other channel, on my same old channel, this one right here, so you can follow Formula One with a different kind of broadcast. Stay tuned on Band on Fun TV. Keep watching where you always have, but listen to us for the commentary. We covered the last 6 races of last year, and we've already done the first 6 of this year. 15 minutes before, I'll be waiting for you in our project, Outro Canal. On Saturday, I'll already leave the live link in the comments so you don't have to go looking for it. A lot happened around here this week. On Sunday, we had teams we love telling the complete story of Sauber from 1970 to 2025, because next year it will stop being Sauber forever and become Audi. On Tuesday, 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙤 3, the continuation of the saga that's a bestseller here on the channel, covering 10 more crazy major projects in Formula One history. And on Wednesday, since we're in the month of the Indianapolis 500, a story about the Indy 500 when Al Unser, the father, won the race at the Indiana Super Oval driving a show car that was already retired in a hotel in Pennsylvania, brought back and ended up winning. Can you believe it? Yeah, those were different times. Here we keep up with continuous programming covering the Formula One weekend. There's a video today, a video on Friday, Saturday, and we have 2 live streams on Sunday. Plus, on the other channel, at 6 o'clock, we'll be back to talk about the race. Everything that happened on and off the track, answer your questions, your super chats, share our usual laughs, and just so you know, there's a new partnership coming up. 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙤. It's about to arrive at my place, and I'll only make the announcement once it gets here, bringing more giveaways for our subscribers. Subscribers here, in case you didn't know, get benefits. They watch videos at the premiere, have priority when it comes to getting their questions answered during live streams, and whenever there's something extra around here, I do a giveaway. In addition to 3 levels from Editora Gulliver, 3 miniatures from the Formula collection, and I can't reveal it yet, but you're going to go crazy when you find out what we're about to start giving away to our community. To enter, you need to be a channel member. We have the join or become a member button, and the link is also down below in the description. There are 4 plans. All tiers come with benefits. Watching videos at premiere and having priority for responses during live streams is standard for everyone. And starting from the Hispanic Pass tier and up, you also get access to a WhatsApp group with me, Houston, and a little over 220 other enthusiasts. Altogether, we already have more than 700 members, so go check it out. It's really worth it. Deal? So go ahead and hit the like button. Yeet! It doesn't cost you anything. You know, it really helps the channel a lot. Do me this favor, do us this favor, because this relationship only works when both sides are connected and doing their part. I make videos, strain my voice, spend time researching and editing late into the night here, and you just sit there, watch the video, and when it's over, you hit like, hype it up, and leave a comment. Why? Because comments are really important for the algorithm to understand that you watched the video all the way to the end, enjoyed it, and so on. Comment, for example, if you think Helio Castroneves has a shot at winning his 5th Indy 500, if Oscar Piastri is already a champion in every sense, if Verstappen can still make a comeback, if he's going to leave Red Bull, or if Hamilton will ever win another race in his career driving for Ferrari in red. Don't want to comment on any of that? Tell us where you're watching from. Drop an emoji, anything at all. Your contribution, whatever it may be, is very welcome. Speaking of contributions, we're in the running for the 𝘾𝙤𝙥 award, and I've never seen such a rapid climb. Last Tuesday, when I was taking a driving course at Interlagos, by the way, there's an exclusive video for subscribers of my own onboard footage and also a report for you about how the course went. I found out that we were nominated and we were ranked 240th. So I let everyone know why. We're in the running, and you know how it is. We're competing. I told everyone, vote for us. The next day we were 49th in the ranking, then 29th, 28th, 12th, 10th, 9th, and now we're in 8th place. The ranking updates every 24 hours, so do you want to help us jump a few more spots toward the top? Go ahead and click. I'll leave the link down below in the description, right after the video title. Just click there and vote for us. You can vote every day, and until June 13th, if we're among the top 20, we qualify, just like Q1, Q2, Q3 in Formula 1. And move on to the next phase. To make sure you don't miss anything we do here, you already know. Notification channels like on WhatsApp, Telegram, Amos, and Instagram, all with thousands of subscribers getting notified on your phone about everything we do here. In addition, we have our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok. We're showing the handles here, and the links are also down below in the description where there's content all the time. Deal? We'll see you around here all weekend long. Friday, Saturday, and during the Sunday live streams. Thanks, and a big hug.